We've been on the road for like 3 years behind the Wooden Heart albums, the acoustic records. And the Wooden Heart tour has been like an evening with John Waite. We have the bass player Tim Hogan, and we have Rondo, Michael Gillum on the drums, and Mark Rashadi on guitar. It's like a twin acoustic electric evening. We get to play all the songs that people want to hear, but we also throw in a Dylan song or Hank Williams or whatever it is that we're feeling that night. It's pretty open, and we're pretty much continuously on the road in America. We'd like to come to Europe, but it's just making the figures balance so you can actually come away from that succeeding musically, but maybe making a living and paying the band. You know, it's hard to come across and fly and bring a crew and stuff. It's just very expensive. It doesn't really work out a lot of times. But we are trying. We went to Australia last year, and that was wonderful, you know, and had the best time in Australia. But hopefully, you know, the Mediterranean, Greece would be wonderful, you know, Italy, Greece, Sicily, you know, all those wonderful Mediterranean countries. Would love to come and play there. People ask me if there's something I haven't done yet, but you know, I've been doing this since the babies in the mid-70s, and I've done just about everything, you know. I wouldn't mind playing on top of the Eiffel Tower, you know, seriously, I'd love to do that. Do an unplugged it at the very top. But maybe make an album of torch songs, you know, Sinatra, Bertolt Brecht kind of like life songs, you know, like very intense, wonderful songs that I didn't write. You know, there's a great joy in covering somebody's song if it's a brilliant song. And when you're going up against somebody like Frank Sinatra or Charles Aznavour, those kind of artists, you're up against the best. And so if there is something I haven't done yet, it would be to go deep into that dark, theatrical, that genre, you know, that kind of like, almost like cabaret, you know. But because it's, I got very close to it with Mr. Wonderful. There was kind of something about Weimar Republic about that and Nazi Germany. And you can't tell. I mean, I go off on a tangent sometimes. I get it in my head to make a certain sort of record, and I go and do it. That's what I do. I'm pretty much unfettered by contracts and people telling me what to do. I do exactly what I want to do all the time. And without that, I would go and do something else. Like at the moment, I'm painting. You know, I paint a lot. And I write and I read a lot. But the freedom to be an artist is paramount to everything that I do. And I have no intention of giving that up. I think being a solo artist is like being a painter or an actor. You're an island, you know, you're really an island. You don't want to look across the stage at somebody and go, can I do this? Are we okay with this? I don't care about that. When you're onto something, you run towards it. You know, there's no question about why you're doing it. You're just going there. Bad English was a strange experience, being with people who were, frankly, you know, quite conservative. And the closer you got to the darker things or the edgier things, they would be more and more uncomfortable. The Babies went there. You know, we would just go there. The original four-man band, when I was playing bass. But the content is, it's all about the content and the performance. Once you start discussing where you're going with other guys, you're dead in the water, you know, and I don't think there's any point whatsoever in doing that. It's very popular now because there's all this sort of like sentimentality, I think, about the 70s or 80s and 90s. People want to go back there. And so bands go out on the road and they trundle around just doing the same old shit, you know, and it's just like, whoa. I couldn't do it, you know, I really couldn't do that. So in answer to your question, being solo is really the thing, yeah. I prefer to be solo, and if I couldn't be solo, I'd probably quit, you know. If I had to be in a band that was playing the same 10 songs every night, I'd just go back to painting, you know. But the wonderfulness of what you do in rock and roll is that you can write on the spot. You can write something in 3 minutes that's going to change the world, you know. It's great. And when you have to write by committee, you don't write those songs. I think the most dramatic moment for me in the music business was probably hearing Western music for the first time, Marty Robbins, and falling in love, you know, with rock and roll, the electric guitar, Western songs about gunfighters, and the lone figure moving through the world. It's very Keith Richards, you know, it's very Marlon Brando, it's Robert De Niro. It's that lone figure, the heroic figure going up against the world. It's only a hop, skip, and a jump from cowboys and Indians to rock and roll. You know, they're both American. And there's a point in all of this stuff, you know. It's but that would be it. Like looking up through the window of a record shop in Lancaster, England, when I was about 5, and seeing Marty Robbins' album, I think it's called Gunfighter Ballads and Trail Songs. But that album changed my life. It really changed my life. And the rest of it just comes with what you do as you make music. I mean, fame as a thing doesn't interest me in the slightest, you know. I've never been a slave to that. I've always been a bit embarrassed about being famous, you know. But the music has always held me, and it's always been because of that album, and the romance of the future, you know, the romance of being in a band and being a musician, a troubadour, you know. That's all there is to me. That's the whole point. Do you know, of course, we'd love to tour Europe again. We haven't been to Europe for about 4 years. But like I said before, it's about trying to get everybody on the plane at the same time and make enough money doing it to pay the band. And as you get older, you know, you don't want to go over there and stay at the YMCA. You know, you want to do it in a kind of a way that's easy, because the work is hard enough. The travel really is tough. It's just getting the money on the table to say we can do it, you know, and pay the band and make a living and stay in a decent hotel and play decent places, you know. We don't want to come over there and play tiny places. If you're coming halfway around the world, you really do want to put on a great show. We did play Australia last year, and that was wonderful. You know, we all got on the plane, we went down there. It was like 15 hours flying, and we got there and had the best time in the world. You know, the Australians were so welcoming, and it was such a great time. It made me remember that going abroad, so to speak, is wonderful, to go and play to people. And we'd love to come to Greece, of course we would, you know. But keep your fingers crossed and you know, tell your local promoter to ask us to come, and we'll come. We look forward to it. Thank you. Hi, this is John Waite, and you're listening to Black Velvet.